Shocking truth, blockbusters are vanishing from theaters faster than you realize. But here's where it gets controversial. Streaming powerhouses, pandemic aftershocks, and skyrocketing production budgets are rewriting the playbook for how long a film stays on the big screen. And this is the part most people miss. It isn't only about ticket sales. These days, predicting a movie's theatrical run feels almost impossible. A few decades ago, the math was simple. Figure out how much money a film made each week, see what rival titles were lined up, and adjust the schedule accordingly. Fast forward to today, and you must factor in the boom of streaming platforms, video-on-demand services, the collapse of physical media, and the eye-watering costs of modern blockbusters. All of that noise has studios and cinemas scrambling to rethink their release calendars. On average, wide releases have lingered between 30 and 45 days in recent years. But that window can swing wildly depending on the title and even the season. Marvel tentpoles used to be a lock for marathon runs, yet now they can stumble. Meanwhile, surprise phenomena like Oppenheimer took the world by storm almost overnight. With so many variables at play, only a handful of clues can help us estimate how long a movie will stick around. The first and still most reliable signal is box office performance in those crucial opening weeks. If a film is raking in money, cinemas will keep it on the marquee. If it flops, theaters will swap it out for the next hopeful release. Take Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer in 2023. Despite being an R-rated, non-franchise biopic, it logged an astounding 122-day run, the longest of any wide release that year. Why? It became the third highest-grossing R-rated film ever, just shy of the $1 billion mark worldwide. When your picture pulls those kinds of numbers, theaters and even the studio have zero incentive to pull the plug early. Of course, Nolan himself is part of the story. His name carries weight, and any new project of his automatically attracts cultural buzz and hefty marketing support. That director-driven star power can turbocharge a movie's lifespan in cinemas. Then came COVID-19, a true game-changer. When theaters shuttered in 2020, studios experimented with day-and-date releases, dropping blockbusters onto their own streaming services simultaneously with the theatrical debut. Warner Brothers led the way, putting big titles like Wonder Woman 1984 and Godzilla vs. Kong on HBO Max on day one. Before the pandemic, most films enjoyed a roughly 90-day theatrical exclusive window. Digital and Blu-ray sales only followed after that period. The pandemic, combined with labor disputes like the 2023 Writers Guild strike, shrank those windows dramatically. Even after day-and-date releases largely ended, studios had tasted the streaming revenue, and many chose to rush movies to digital platforms in just 30 to 45 days. This shift wasn't just a pandemic hangover. It reflects a broader strategic pivot towards streaming as the primary secondary market, especially now that DVD and Blu-ray sales have plummeted. At the same time, the streaming landscape exploded. What once was dominated by Netflix, Hulu, and a handful of others now includes Disney+, Peacock, Paramount+, Max, and more. With each platform vying for exclusive content, studios are motivated to clear theater schedules faster so they can feed new titles to home viewers and keep subscribers hooked. Despite theaters gradually recovering foot traffic from the pandemic low, they haven't bounced back to pre-2020 levels. More people than ever prefer the comfort of home viewing, whether it's a quick video rental or a binge on a streaming service. As a result, major studios have little choice but to slash traditional theatrical windows and chase digital dollars sooner rather than later. Theater chains have lobbied for a uniform 45-day exclusivity period, but so far there's no industry-wide agreement in sight. It's also important to remember that not all cinemas play by the same rules. Mega-chain multiplexes like AMC and Regal operate differently than small independent theaters, which often rely on community buzz and curated programming. A smaller venue with just a handful of screens can't afford to hold on to older films. New releases must rotate in quickly. Yet word of mouth can still propel an underdog film into a surprising extended run. Pixar's Elemental managed just that in 2023. However, indie or art house movies usually lack the hefty marketing budgets and broad distribution necessary to build that momentum. Meanwhile, the blockbuster budget arms race means studios need each film to be a major event. Gone is the era of a steady pipeline of mid-sized hits. Now, everything hinges on a few tentpole releases that can justify costs north of $200 million. The so-called middle class of cinema has all but evaporated, making it harder for moderately budgeted projects to enjoy long theatrical stays. With all these factors, higher budgets, shorter exclusivity windows, softer theater attendance, and the dominance of streaming, a typical theatrical run has settled around 40 days, sometimes stretching to 60 for strong performers. That doesn't leave much breathing room for slow starters to find their audience. And yet, the cinema experience isn't dead. Headlines about the imminent demise of movie theaters have circulated for years, but the communal magic of a big screen event remains alive and well when the film captures the public's imagination. Oppenheimer is the perfect recent example, as is Avatar, The Way of Water, achieving impressive box office returns. There's still room for surprises. So what do you think? Are studios pushing films out of theaters too quickly in favor of streaming revenue? Could a universal 45-day theatrical window save the big screen experience? Or is that idea already obsolete? Share your thoughts below. Let's spark a conversation.